Hello class, my name is James Syndergaard, and I am going to be talking to you today about urban gardening and horticulture therapy. A green atmosphere in interaction with nature can considerably improve the human senses and sanity. This was a quote taken from a case study done in Pakistan in 2016 by Farmanullah Khan. Now, urban gardening is easier than ever and also medically beneficial for your well-being. What I mean by urban gardening is having limited to no access to land or ground soil and growing plants in containers or pots, either indoors or outdoors, with very limited space. Now, I'm going to be breaking it down into the three simple categories it takes to grow plants, which I'm sure all of you are very aware of. That's sun, soil, and water. Now, we'll begin with sunlight. You have to excuse me because I couldn't figure out how to share my screen, and I made a PowerPoint, simple PowerPoint presentation, and I ended up printing it off. This diagram essentially shows the window, balcony directions and the amount of sunlight. Where the north, you have the least, the south, you have the most, the west, you have morning sunlight, or excuse me, afternoon and evening sunlight, and then the east, you have your morning sunlight. Basically, what that breaks down into is if you're fortunate enough to have a south or west facing direction or space to grow plants, you're going to have a wider variety of species of plants that you grow. But don't be discouraged if you're limited to a single window facing north, because any sunlight is enough sunlight to grow plants. And there's plenty of species of plants that need a very limited amount of sunlight, and you grow inside. All right, now that we talked about sunlight, let's dig into soil. Now, this diagram is extremely simple. Here on the right, you have your clay-based, which retains water, and then on the left is sand-based, which filters water. Honestly, that's maybe a little generalized, and soil as is kind of a general concept for growing plants, because as long as you have access to a nursery or someone that sells potting soil, then you know that's equivalently sufficient amount to grow any plants. Any potting soil carries enough nutrients and amendments in order to grow essentially like any species that you need, I guess, depending on the organics, and if you're going to dive into vegetables, there might be some more things to take into consideration. But if you're restricted in the urban gardening sense that you're growing indoor or balcony plants, then potting soil is going to be well sufficient enough. All right, the third thing that we're going to be talking about is diving into some watering tips. Now, this is a very simplified diagram where I just listed 3 tips to take in consideration. Again, these are tips, not necessarily, doctrinal, like do's or do nots. And those 3 things is, consistently checking your soil for moisture, pouring the water at the base of the plant, trying not to get the leaves too wet, and trying to water in the mornings. All that's doing is water in the mornings to create some consistency. Also, because it is cooler, it's going to not sunbake your soil, or for instance, getting water on the leaves and then the sunlight hitting the water spots on your leaves could potentially create some problems. But yeah, and that's watering. All right, so I'm going to conclude all of this with those 3 elements. Not only can you grow plants, but you're growing your mind, body, and soul. I wanted to kind of encapsulate all of this with horticultural therapy by saying, first of all, it's been around for longer than you'd think. There's incidences of World War I veterans coming back shell-shocked and introducing horticultural therapy to help them teach them how to release stress, which I guess by being busy, and then instill a little bit of compassion as you're taking care of another being, as well as responsibility. For instance, I have no kids, no pets, but I'm not lonely because taking care of plants has been beneficial for me, even as a veteran, I gotta say. Um, and I am going to conclude this lovely speech with a quote from Eeyore that says, "Even weeds are flowers once you get to know them." Thank you, class, and I hope you all have a good day.